If you've seen my previous Hidden Gems video, you know that I love finding homes for older, obscure cards. There's just something I find satisfying about having a card barely anyone seems to have heard of advance my game plan, or even outright win the game for me. And so today I'll be sharing a few more cards that I believe deserve a lot more love and attention than they currently have. Furious Assault is an enchantment for 2 and a red that deals 1 damage to a player or planeswalker when you cast a creature spell. While I understand that most people will generally look at this card and opt to run Impact Trimmers instead, I personally think that this card deserves a place at the table for being able to hit Planeswalkers, keeping them in check at the very least, and even outright having the ability to kill them. This card can be an excellent include for creature-heavy decks that include damage amplifiers, repeatable bounce effects, disentomb effects, and decks that let you repeatedly cast creatures from your graveyard. Some commanders I feel this could be great in are Squee the Immortal, Gearson Starn, Ohir Axonil, and Marchesa Dealer of Death, among many others. I've actually recently added this card to my Brienne Angel of Rebirth deck, which is actually the subject of the very first video I ever made, if you want to check that out. Next up is Serra Aviary from 1995's Homelands, which is a world enchantment for 3 and a white that gives all flying creatures +1/+1. This card is one of only 26 world enchantments in the game, which for those who don't know is an enchantment super type. It has a special rule unique to it that says there can only be one world enchantment in play at a time. So basically, if your opponent controls a Concordant Crossroads, for example, playing this will destroy the Crossroads. Then if someone plays a Teferi's Realm, that destroys our Aviary, and so on. This is a rule that may never come up, but it's good to know. And while I know Serra Aviary is a symmetrical effect and can potentially buff your opponent's creatures, I've found that most decks aren't running nearly enough flyers for this to be a concern. I personally find it to be a very flavorful include for any deck centered around birds, as well as a cool unique anthem for any other flying creature types like angels, griffins, fairies, and spirits. Some commanders I think might make a good home for it are creature-type lords like Castrol the Windcrested and Giada Font of Hope, as well as commanders that make flying creature tokens like Alayla Artful Provocateur and Kaikar Wind's Fury. Another card I'd like to talk about also happens to be originally from Homelands. Forget is a sorcery for 2 blue mana that reads target player discards 2 cards, then draws as many cards as they discarded this way. It's a fairly good card for any decks that want to fill their graveyard, have discard or draw synergies, or just generally want to dig through their libraries. Some commanders I think this would go great in are Riel the Everwise, Captain Howler, Nekusar the Mindraiser, Taval Arbiter Virtue, or really anything you're planning to run with reanimation in it that has blue. Lastly, I wanted to briefly talk about some of the cool cards y'all brought up in the comments of my last Hidden Gems video. I got a lot of really cool suggestions and can't really fit all of them in a single video, so I had to narrow it down to 4 that I really liked, and I'm just going to share some of those with you right now. The first is Defensive Formation, which is an enchantment for 1 white that lets you decide how attacking creatures deal their combat damage to you, effectively shutting off abilities like Trample. At the time of recording, this card is only in 1,336 decks on EDHREC. The next one is Breach, which happens to be in exactly 200 decks at the time of recording. This is an instant for 2 and a black that gives a creature +2/+0 and Fear. It's a pretty solid combat trick in mono black that has the incredible upside of having some really good art. Kodos the Fangkeeper and Obeka Splitter of Seconds are just a couple of commanders that would absolutely love this card. We've also got a couple of relatively cheap cards from the reserve list with Cadaverous Bloom in 1,301 decks and Bosium Strip in 797 decks. Cadaverous Bloom is an enchantment for 3, a black and a green, that lets you exile a card from your hand to get 2 black or 2 green mana. Basically, it turns any dead cards in your hand into a free ritual. Bosium Strip is one of only 23 cards that cares about graveyard order, and if you pay 3 mana and tap it, it reads, until end of turn, you may cast instant or sorcery spells from the top of your graveyard. If a spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. This basically means that as long as the top card of your graveyard is an instant or sorcery, they have flashback for their mana cost. I can honestly see this finding a home in any Spellslinger list ever, so if you don't mind keeping track of the order of cards in your graveyard, give this one a shot. Thanks for watching. Do you have any cool underplayed cards that you like? Please let me know about them in the comments below, and I'll show off some of my favorites in the next Hidden Gems video. I hope to see y'all again soon, and safe travels!